Hello and welcome to this week's Different League show, sponsored by Betfred. Now, everyone in the Premier League has played at least one match. 7 teams with a 100% record, including Crystal Palace with that fantastic performance, as well as results at Old Trafford. Delighted to say alongside Mark Langdon and myself, someone who's played for some great clubs, Chelsea, West Ham, and even Charlton as well, amongst many others, Carlton Cole. Carlton, great to see you.
Yeah, great to see you, Scott. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Goals galore last week, 44 in total. We're hoping for the same this weekend. Do you wish you were still playing?
No. I wouldn't be able to play in this era, I don't think, with the VAR. Like, all my goals will get disallowed, and then I'll just be frustrated. I'll be a frustrated footballer coming out on Twitter and getting into more trouble than I already did when I was a footballer.
What do you put it down to, though, all these goals? Because there are more than usual, aren't they?
Yeah, I would say there's no fans in the building, so no one's scared to make a mistake. So everyone's pushing forward. I'd say it's maybe just trying to get more goals than the other team before we concede, basically. So
fitness perhaps an issue as well?
Fitness is definitely an issue. And I reckon the quality of defending as well. I think the quality of defending's gone down. Everyone's looking to play out from the back now, taking risks. Yeah. And I see that that a lot of teams get caught, especially in the final third nowadays, because everyone pressures really well. They always say the first line of defence is your forwards, and the forwards are doing really well and closing down.
Would you have done that?
Yeah, I was always good at that. That's one thing I was actually good at, closing down and making sure that I was first contact of the defence.
You'd be scoring 20 goals plus a season every season, Carlton. Don't worry about that, mate. Listen, whatever the reasons, Mark, it's been a great start to the Premier League season, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if Burnley are involved in like a 6-goal thriller, then you know that that things are slightly chaotic. I do wonder whether there is a bit of randomness to it, and it might just be one crazy weekend, but hopefully not. Let's hope for more of the same.
That's positive. Negative going on at the moment, of course, plans for fans to return to sporting events in October, just next week, called off by the government. How big a setback is that, do you think?
I mean, particularly for the sort of bottom 2 divisions in the EFL, I mean, absolutely huge they've been banking on the fans being allowed back in. How they now survive maybe for another 6 months, I think it's going to be really difficult for all of them because they couldn't finish their season because of this. It's a big concern, and we've not even got testing in the lower 2 divisions because it costs too much. So it's a massive worry. I mean, one of the great things about English football is the pyramid and the fact that it goes so far down, and you've got all these kind of historic clubs in the 4th division and even lower down, and to fear that we could be losing a couple more after what's happened to Macclesfield and Bury really is a concern.
The Premier League should be okay, but what about the EFL? They're talking about those 3 divisions could lose up to £200 million by the end of the season, and Nigel Travis, the Leyton Orient owner, has said that look, clubs could go bankrupt if that's the case.
Yeah, I was on another show and was speaking to Mark Palios, and he says he's got they have reserves of a certain amount of money to keep it going until probably December, most clubs. And then after that, they're on their own. Do you know what I mean? So it's really concerning for me looking at some of these great clubs that's been in the lower leagues. Some's been up in the Premier League as well, and they might be going bust. And it's just heart-aching for this to be happening to such a great football league. Well, as you said, the football pyramid's always going to be, it's always been known for helping others, and now some of the top teams are going to have to try and get the money out of their pocket to help the smaller teams now. Which
do you think that's what should happen?
It should happen, yes, because there's so much money in the Premier League, and it churns a lot of money out. But now even the Premier League, some of the Premier League clubs are struggling, so they can't even afford to give what they would have been able to give in normal circumstances. So it's really concerning for everybody involved.
Yeah, and we saw Leyton Orient Spurs game being called off with a number of Leyton Orient players being tested positive for coronavirus. We saw the West Ham game going on against Hull, despite Diop, Cullen and David Moyes as well testing positive. How do you see this?
Well, I mean, I'm very confused as to what the limit is on where you can play a game and where you can't play a game, because Orient were adamant that they could get 11 players, even if it was youth teamers, out on the pitch. And, if it had to be turned around and played at Spurs, they were happy to do whatever it needed. I hope that Orient can be compensated some way, because they would have been banking on that TV money. But it goes back to what I was saying about the testing. This only came about because Tottenham paid for Leyton Orient's testing. So what is going on in them sort of two divisions in League One and League Two that's just going undetected at the moment? And I think that must be a worry for all players, really, going out there not knowing if A, they've got it, or if B, their opponent has.
I heard Andros Townsend this morning saying that he still would have played because of the way that the testing schedule is. Would you have been happy to have played the game?
Yeah, of course. As a footballer, paramount is you want to play games. Doesn't matter who you're playing against, you want to be playing games. And obviously you want to set a good example to other people that say, listen, obviously I'm a fit lad, I might contract it, but we've taken extra precautions to not get involved with the virus as such. And look, as you was talking about the testing, some of the lower league clubs, they can't do it themselves, so they got to get the other clubs to do it. And I was talking to someone the other day, and that club owner, and he was saying it's 75 quid for a testing kit for each person. And that's a lot of money for some of these clubs. Some clubs are only paying their players only 150 quid a week.
Yeah.
So 75 quid for a testing each week is very hard for them.
I saw the Peterborough owner suggest that maybe the players have to live in bubbles, which I don't know how you'd feel about that for sort of 2-3 months.
Oh, mate, I'll be prison for me. I'll be losing my hair.
The England cricketers have had to do that, haven't they? But yeah, I can't see that happening. Let's preview some of this weekend's games, shall we? First one up, Brighton against Manchester United. Carlton, what on earth happened to United against Crystal Palace? Palace didn't just win, they deserved to win, and the scoreline probably flattered United.
Well, they didn't. My biggest thing, who was the star man of the show? It was Zaha. And you had Wan-Bissaka that was on the bench, yeah? And listen, I know he might not be fit enough, but he's still a young lad. He could come in and he could still do a job against Crystal Palace. He would have been able to, I think, always try and field your best players. And I know it's trying times at the moment, and maybe he'd want to, Ollie wanted to save him, but that was a key component to them defending properly, and because he's one of the best right backs in the league.
Yeah, one of the best man markers as well.
And best man markers, and you can't get past him. So I'd have started him, and then see how long he lasted, and try and at least make sure that Zaha didn't have that free reign that he did. That was a big component for me. And then the other was I'd have played Van der Beek. Van der Beek, I know he's only just come in. I know he wants to try and feed him in slowly, but he came on, showed what he could do straight away. And I thought they missed that from the start of the game. And you can't, in the Premier League, you can't afford to just coast until half time and see how it goes. You've got to be coming out the trap, especially on your first game.
You don't think that team that Solskjaer picked was good enough to beat Palace?
I'm not saying it's not good enough, but it wasn't his best team for me. I always say pick your best team. And look, Palace, they're no slouches. They've come in and they've made sure that they've got good signings. I think a lot of people were criticising Crystal Palace last season about they're just looking a little bit stale. But now they've made some good, decent signings that can go forward and defend as well. And they're a solid team. They're a solid mid-table team. It reminds me of the team of when I was at Charlton, like Alan Kirbishley. Proper solid top 10 team, like probably get the 10th or 9th if they're lucky. To get to the 42 mark in the season, and they feel they can kick on after that. So that's the type of team Crystal Palace has at the moment.
Don't get me going on Charlton. They were the good old days. We won't talk about them. A lot of criticism of United in the transfer market. Do you agree with that criticism? And do you think that Jadon Sancho is something they should be just saying, look, whatever it is, we'll put the money in, or is actually defenders? That's what a centre-back.
I think that United should buy Sancho if they've got the money to do so, because he's available. He's on the, for the right money you can get him, and I mean he's already kind of on the verge of being a superstar, and he would definitely improve Manchester United. But United always seem to feel that their problems are in the transfer market, and it's buy, and I mean, look at that team. That team costs a lot of money. They've spent a lot of money. The wages are high. Ultimately, I think you do have to look at the coach and say, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was on the market, would any other elite team in Europe take him? The answer is no. I mean, he's there because he scored one of the most important goals in their history. I think he can take them so far, and particularly when on the counter-attack, United are good at that. But when they have to come up with something different in terms of opening teams up, like a Crystal Palace, it's where they've struggled throughout his reign. And I mean, the answer I don't think is in the transfer market. I think it's in Mauricio Pochettino.
Well, I think you're right there as well, but I think they are missing a left back. They're missing a left back, definitely. They're missing a centre back that's mobile. So yes, Harry Maguire is a great defender, but he's not mobile enough. I think Simon Jordan the other day, he was quoting, said that he turns like a sea liner or something like that, which is not a good analogy.
He needs pace alongside him.
So he needs pace alongside him. It was like John Terry. John Terry always needed pace alongside him, and it made him look good. And so then you look at Luke Shaw at left back. Great. He used to be a great defender and a great attacker. He's a great attacker as well. But I think after his injury, he's not come back the way he used to be when Man United bought him. And I think obviously he had the injury, and then he had Mourinho as well, that kind of sucked the life out of him because he just needed to be a man. And Mourinho loves men in his team, by the way. And if you're not a grown up on the pitch wise, he'll suck the energy out of you. So I just think they're missing a few key components in that team. But once he does get that, so the transfer, I think, is a massive thing for them right now. They need to get their defence sorted. And then, because the front line, they don't actually need Jadon Sancho at the moment. They just need to get confident at the back so they can build play. And then you'll see the other players come into fold.
Okay, so the way you two talking, we're talking about a Brighton win here then?
No, I'm not. I don't think Brighton's good enough to beat Man United right now, because Man United they've been stung already, and they're not going to make the same mistake twice. So they're going to be coming out the traps against Brighton for me.
So a United win?
Yes, a Man United win for me.
The value bet for me is a draw with what's happened in the previous matchday games. But I agree with Carlton. United can't be that poor. So I'm going to go United win 2-0. What are you going for? I'm
going to go for United not to win. So Brighton will draw, double chance. I think Brighton have played well. They were unlucky against Chelsea. That Reece James goal, that turned the game was just amazing. And then they've gone to Newcastle and completely battered them, really. Yeah. So I think this is a difficult game for United.
Okay, we shall see. Game preview 2, West Brom versus Chelsea. Tough game for our old side, wasn't it, against Liverpool, who were ruthless. But what did you make of Chelsea when it was 11v11 in the first half, as well as the second half as well?
I loved watching Chelsea in the first half. I felt that they was well in the game. It was equal peggings. But obviously, Liverpool looked like they had another gear anyway. And that was in the first half. I just didn't think Liverpool got going yet. And then obviously when the sending off happened, then they just smelt the blood, and then they just went for the pot of gold. But I really do think Chelsea, that they definitely got the minerals. I think he still needs to sort out his tactical, who he wants to put in certain places on the pitch. And going forward,
who should he put in, do you think?
Going forward, I think he's got options now. He's got options, and he's obviously brought a few good players in, and he needs to get that chemistry right going forward. And I think Werner's massive for them at the moment. He's so mobile, gets around, and I just think you just need to feed him as much as you can.
He looks great already, doesn't he?
Yeah, and especially they haven't even put in Ziyech yet.
No.
They've got players. Hudson hasn't even played. Hudson-Odoi hasn't even played yet. So they have options. And
Kai Havertz, what do you think of him? Where would you play him?
Listen, that's what I'm saying. They've got options. To play Kai, I think you have to change the formation. So I think he's going to have 2 systems this season, not just the one, just to fit certain players in. And I see obviously Kai as a number 10, not out on the wing as such. I don't think he's that sort of player. I think he needs to be involved with the play, the build up, and then putting Timo in trying to get goals. But I see him as a number 10, but he's going to have to change his whole system to accommodate.
Which, to be fair, is what Frank did. He had a number of systems last season, didn't he? But what about at the back? Another Kepa mistake. Edward Mendy on the point of being confirmed that he's signed. Do you feel that Kepa's played his last game for Chelsea?
Well, he said he's going to go with Caballero in the cup, didn't he? So for me, I think Kepa might have played. He might have to go on loan or something like that. He might have played his last game. I think he's made too many mistakes. You don't want to put all the blame on him, but his mistakes. Goalkeepers are in their own bubble, and he knows once he made that mistake, he was out the door.
Do you know what? It's the most individual position in a team game.
Exactly.
Isn't it? It's a horrible position when you don't touch the ball for 20 minutes, make a mistake, and then all things
Everyone's
can go
on
through
you
in your mind.
Yeah. So for me, yes, that's a massive thing he has to address, and I'm actually surprised he hasn't addressed it much more sooner than he already has. He's gone into other positions before addressing the goalkeeper position, which was a problem from last season, which I felt he must have had in the back of his mind that he needs to sort that out first before he went and got what he went and got. But it is what it is. He started the season off with Kepa. He's made a couple of mistakes already, and it's cost him.
Yeah, I'm sure he certainly would have tried to have got Mendy in a little bit earlier. Mark, West Brom defensively poor again. Played 2, lost 2, conceded 8. Slaven Bilic sent off. You can see he was frustrated, not by just that one incident.
Well, I think he will have been frustrated with what Kieran Gibbs did. I know he was not going to go out and slaughter him, to the cameras or whatever. But I mean, that's crazy. West Brom were well in the game at that point, and actually had been causing a few problems, and were at least equals of Everton. There was a great goal from James that kind of turned the game a bit, but Dingana had scored. Mac Pereira got the free kick. So I think there were positives to take from West Brom. I think it was a better, although they've been absolutely hammered eventually, I thought it was a much better performance than what we'd seen in the first week when they didn't really touch Leicester at all. But obviously the issue is going to be defensively. You can't keep conceding the amount of goals that they are.
Don't want to give Mike Dean any more airtime, so we'll just go straight to your Betfred predictions. How do you see this one?
I'm seeing a Chelsea win, obviously. Like, for me, Chelsea they haven't come out the traps yet, and I think they still got a lot to give, and I think they're going to use this one to get back up.
Yeah, I think Chelsea minus 1 goal. I think that they'll win quite comfortably. A good opportunity as well for Timo Werner, who's looked lively in the 2 games so far, to open his account as well in the Premier League.
Needed defence looking watertight, shall we say. I can see both teams scoring, but Chelsea winning this by a couple. Okay, game preview 3, West Ham against Wolves. They must have been gutted after what happened against Arsenal. I mean, it was a really good performance, wasn't it?
Well, it was a massive improvement from the Newcastle game, and I felt that the Newcastle game was a bit of a wake-up call to say, listen, boys, we need to put it in here, because we don't want to have that season we had last year. And on top of that, we needed points out of that Newcastle game. So they have to actually, and if you look at the next running of games.
Let me tell you, so they just had Arsenal away, now got Wolves at home, Leicester away, Spurs away, Man City away at home, Liverpool away. I'm doing this weekly, the West Ham fixtures, until these have gone. These are massive games. Such tough games.
There has been some people that said there's not going to be a point until Christmas.
It's like West Ham to go to, say, Spurs and win.
This is what I'm saying. Listen, I've been involved with West Ham for how long? Nearly 15 years now. And we pull it out of the bag somehow. I don't know how it happens, but even against Arsenal, there were some chances that we should have put away. I think we had the more clear-cut chances than Arsenal did. Yeah. Obviously, and then it was the same as last year when we went to Arsenal as well. We should have won that game too, but they ended up winning. So you got to look at the whole thing, and I really think that West Ham really do have a chance to get points in all of these games. Obviously, the Man City, the Liverpool one.
I'm slightly
I'll
worried.
park that up. But the rest of them, I think there's points there for us, and at least 1 point, or at least if we could get 3, we could get 3. But I think the Arsenal game is a good point of a place to start building from, because it was a good team performance and it was better than the week before.
Home form going to be key. They've got to be better than that performance against Newcastle, haven't they?
They have, yeah. And they were. And then they've gone out and won in the Cup despite sort of the off-field issues that could have been a distraction, and shows the depth of the squad. And I suppose that might be an issue in terms of, does David Moyes know his best 11? Could he get Haller back into the team somehow? You've got Yarmolenko on the bench, Anderson on the bench. I mean, these are players that maybe don't turn up and sort of produce consistent enough performances. So I think that they're solid enough in them 3 midfield with Noble, Souček and Rice. That looks quite good. Full-back areas, I think there's still a concern, and even at centre-back. I think they're okay when they defend in numbers, but you can hit them on the break, and then once they get isolated, look a little bit troubled, and that's what Wolves are really good at.
Yeah.
Wolves are probably the masters on the counter-attack.
What did you make of Wolves against City?
Oh, I thought City
Came back into it well.
Yeah,
didn't
I
they?
mean the first half. It's hard to know whether Wolves were bad or City were really good, and I think it probably was City just being untouchable at times. But in the second half, Wolves showed. I mean, they could have caved in, but they didn't. And it was a good second half performance. I think they can carry on now for the rest of the season, and they know they've not got to play Man City again for a while,
which helps a lot,
exactly.
doesn't it? For any team. West Ham do though. Soon. Let's get you a Betfred predictions then. What do you see?
I've gone for a draw. I think there's goals in it, but I think especially after the West Ham's midweek 5-0 drumming, I think it was in the Carabao Cup, and I think they're going to go into this game full of confidence because they've done the Arsenal one, had a nice midweek game. Now they're going to go into the weekend full of confidence. So I hope there's goals in it. And I think Yarmolenko is looking good. So I'm going to go with a draw, 1-1.
Okay. No David Moyes, of course, but I'm sure he can direct things from
I
afar.
think it's better that he's away at the moment. But maybe we might get some results. He could manage from afar. He could do that. I think who done it the other day for Middlesbrough? Warnock done it, but he didn't win.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the players at Middlesbrough would be happy that Warnock.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know if I've got my West Ham hat on here because Wolves, I think, are a really, really good side. But I think there will be goals in this, and I think West Ham go into it a bit of confidence. I'm going for a score draw as well. Yeah. What do you say?
I'm going for a Wolves win.
Yeah, I knew you'd say that.
I just think that Wolves, I think, are well set up to beat West Ham. What Wolves are good at is what West Ham struggle with dealing with.
Yeah. Okay. Should we move on?
Yes, move on quickly, please. Nice and swift, Scott.
Game preview for Spurs against Newcastle. Now, what did you make of that 5-2 win over Southampton? Because I watched it. If you didn't, you'd be thinking, oh, that's a fantastic win. First half, I thought they really struggled.
Yeah.
Half-time, I'm sure Mourinho would have been absolutely having a go at everybody. The goal on half-time was key. For me, it was two key players going forward and a crazy Southampton backline, high line.
Well, listen, when one player's giving another one player, so it was Kane to Son, the whole game, basically, four times. And then Kane ends up getting his goal at the end. But when you've got a forward line like that can produce, and I know, look, Southampton obviously a good team, but they just killed them on the counter, and that's all that they needed to do. And going forward, I've never actually seen Mourinho's forward line so industrious. He's usually more compact and then build slowly and then try and get into the final third and make something happen, but always stay compact. But it was kind of wide open for even Danny Ings to do what he did. So I would actually go with, on this one, I'll go Spurs all the time because I think Spurs are really doing, they're building, and they've got the impetus, the input of knowing that Gareth Bale's just come in. So
He's a few weeks away.
Yeah, but just having him in the building.
No, definitely. It's a massive, massive lift. What do you think about him coming in and where do you see him actually playing?
I'd see him playing up
wherever he wants.
Wherever he wants, because he's never been that sort of player you can pigeonhole him into saying right wing or left side.
Is that a Mourinho type player though?
No, it's not. It actually isn't. But he's going to have to make it work. He pays so much money. Yeah. He's going to have to change his life and his values for him.
Do you think he will? Do you think Mourinho therefore has to change his style?
He has to change his style a little bit to accommodate for a world-class player. He's a world-class player. And it depends what Gareth Bale comes. Is he going to be the Gareth Bale of old, or is he going to be the one that scored the overhead in the Champions League, or is he going to be the golf Gareth? It doesn't. Like,
do you know what? I'm with you. I think I'm in the minority here. Where, listen, first of all, the positives to move to Real Madrid and be a massive success, the UK's greatest football export, I think is absolutely fantastic. Yeah. What he did, amazing. I covered Real Madrid, every single Real Madrid game for 4 years. What Gareth Bale are we getting now? He hasn't played for 18 months, so physically he could pick up injuries, which we know that he can. Mentally, he was willing to go to China a year ago for even more money that he's earning. Yeah. So is his motivation still there? I think there's question marks well, should we say the jury is out for me?
Yeah. So
As a Spurs fan, Mark, what do you think?
The jury is out. I mean, because he said himself in his first interview afterwards, I'm not the Gareth Bale that left, White Hart Lane. I'm not going to do 90-yard runs anymore and take the ball right up the pitch. That's not what he does. But I think when he plays for Wales, he still shows that professionalism. I mean, he seems to be sort of fit enough for them most games. I just think it was a complete breakdown of relationship with Real Madrid. Some of it was his fault. If you're getting paid 600 grand a week, you probably should learn a little bit of Spanish just to show some respect, I suppose. He will say that he was getting no respect back, and so that relationship had totally broken down. The key thing is he's quite considerably better than Lucas, probably the player that he's about to replace on that right-hand side. So, Bale, Son and Kane as a front three. I don't think any manager can moan about that. No. Mourinho probably will, but he can't.
He'll find a way after a while.
What it would do as well, like, obviously he does like to play a defensive game. He's got options now where he could play a 3-5-2, he could play a 4-3-3. He could play different positions, different players in different positions. Rahulion, that no one's actually talking about. I think he's a worldie for me. I think he's a brilliant player. The Real Madrid fans weren't happy, amused that they'd let him go.
Yeah.
So he'd come in at left wing back or left back. But they've just bought Doherty as well. He hasn't been
back, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's a wing back. But I don't think he's grasped the staying back and not getting forward yet on that. So he's been got at a few times, and I don't think he's much of a massive defender. I know he's good going forward, but that the way Mourinho loves to play, he loves it solid at the back first and then build. So if he's got it solid at the back first, once he gets that right in training, and then he can implement it on the pitch going forward. He's just gonna let the boys do what they want to do, and I think that's what he's setting up to do now.
We could talk
about
a lot. I know about Tottenham, couldn't we? And we haven't even really gone into Newcastle as well. How can they go to West Ham and win and then lose 3-0 at home to Brighton? But let's get your Betfred predictions on this one. Spurs Newcastle.
Yeah, Spurs for me. Spurs are definitely gonna come out the traps, and they're gonna. Especially if we see the Newcastle that was against Brighton the other day, it's got to be Spurs for me all day.
Yeah. Mark?
Yeah, I was going to go for Son to score the first goal, not only because he got the 4 last week, but it did look like Kane was happy sort of playing in that deeper role, and Son was sort of the one running through. So
for now,
you know
what strikers are like.
Yeah, Kane is obviously quite selfish, and that's one of the reasons why he's become as good as what he's become. But it looked like a definite plan there to get Son more involved centrally.
He was playing as a team player, Harry Kane, definitely. I'm going for Spurs to win to 0. I wasn't overly impressed against Southampton, but I think that forward line they've got, and Newcastle, I think are going to be one of those sides down the bottom, so it should be a comfortable Spurs win here. Okay, game preview 5, Manchester City against Leicester. We thought there couldn't be a tougher start for City, didn't we, last week?
Yeah.
It wasn't easy, but 3 crucial points already, especially with Liverpool, 2 from 2.
I thought it was a really good performance from Man City. I looked at the team, particularly the bench. There's like Delap was on there, wasn't he? Delap's son, and there were another couple of youth teamers, and you're thinking, God, this could be a really tricky sort of 90 minutes, given that Wolves had already done them twice the season before, and they were so good in that first half. Wolves couldn't get near them, and Wolves are one of the most compact and sort of tactically organised teams in the Premier League, and like De Bruyne was finding space, Sterling was finding space, Jesus was finding space, Foden was good. Man City were, I thought, in terms of actually sort of performances, that was as good as I've seen them actually for a good while in a difficult away game, because they'd struggled a lot in away games last season. That was the performance of a team that really want the Premier League title back.
I agree, and I do think they will. I still feel, even though Thiago's gone to Liverpool, I still feel that City will be the team to win the title. What did you make of City? Because it was almost a tale of two halves, wasn't it? They were brilliant the first half. Perhaps could have conceded more than one goal, to be fair. So defensively, are there still issues there?
Look, I love Ake. I think it's a good signing, but I don't think he's the answer to what they needed to bring in. Obviously, Stones is okay, but do I see them winning the league? Because I was watching that the other day. Do I see them winning the league with that back line? I don't see it, because I think it's still there to get got at. And
I agree, and I think it's going to be crucial the next couple of weeks.
that
the
who they
transfer
get
window.
in. Yeah, I think they tried to go for that Koulibaly. Koulibaly. And I don't know, Koulibaly. But yeah,
Don't be hypercritical.
Yeah, I don't want to be hypercritical about it. But no, so I think they do need a solid centre half in there that's domineering. I think that Laporte, he does get injured a lot, and I think they need someone that's going to be there solid for the rest of the season. And I think they was looking at Kuda, who's a really good player, and I think if they get someone in there that's very reliable, I think they could build on that and go forward. But for me, obviously Man City going forward there, just let them.
So how do you see this one then? Give us your Betfred selections, because Leicester.
Leicester.
They've scored 7 goals. Although
Leicester always going to be threatening.
Yeah.
They're threatening. They've got a great forward. But I can't see anybody winning this apart from Man City, and there's going to be loads of goals in it. I think.
Yeah.
De Bruyne is just the best in the world at this moment, underneath, obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. So Kevin De Bruyne, when he's running the game, no one can get past that team.
I agree. Goals in this game from both sides, but I think City will win this. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the best bet, Man City to win and both teams to score. The space that they leave in behind, perfect for Vardy, and Harvey Barnes is a player I really like a lot. So I can see Leicester scoring, but probably losing.
Okay, some game this one. Game preview 6, Liverpool-Arsenal. Liverpool sneaked it last week against Leeds, but they were superb against Chelsea, weren't they? What did you make of them? And that front three, if it's not Salah scoring, it's Mane and Firmino still assisting.
They've just got too much. And they've just brought in Thiago as well. It's just going to be feeding them like... the way I see this go is a Liverpool win, obviously, because Arsenal weren't too convincing for me against West Ham. Arsenal still defensively not sound enough. If West Ham can give them such problems, their backline so much problems, I think it's going to be a walk in the park for Liverpool's front line, you know. So I just think, obviously, Liverpool are Liverpool at the moment. They're the ones that everybody has to catch. And as I said, Man City are the ones that are the most likely to do it. But Liverpool, in this game, I just can't see no one getting past them, and then Liverpool just having free reign and free will of what they want to do. Do
you like the look of Thiago coming in? I mean, that sort of first 11, there's not many players in world football that can come in and improve the 11.
Yeah.
Do you feel that he does?
Of course. He's an outstanding player, outstanding passer of the ball. He done one pass against Chelsea. It didn't come off, but then you just saw the way he bent the ball, and the way the preciseness of it. It was just unlucky the other player wasn't. I think it was Timo. The other player just didn't get in the end of it because he was on the same wavelength. Not Timo, the other guy, Mane. He was supposed to go to Mane, and it's a shame that he couldn't get on the end of it. But you can see in training they'll start to get a relationship going, and they'll start to read his balls better, and you'll start to see Liverpool just rising to the occasion, and I think he just fits in perfectly into their system.
You'd have loved to have played in front of him, wouldn't you?
I don't think I would have read his balls. I want that intelligent.
Well, look, I mean, it wasn't a convincing Arsenal win, but Mikel Arteta looked absolutely delighted with those 3 points, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a bit like Arsenal sort of before Arteta was there, really, because he has. Other than that game, really, when they didn't look as organised, I think he has made them sort of structurally better. You can't beat Man City and Liverpool like they did back to back without having that kind of, I suppose, system in place to be able to deal with it. So I think it might have just been one bad performance from them, and he will be absolutely delighted that despite the bad performance, they still found a way to win the game. You're talking about through balls. I mean, the one from Saka that eventually set up the Arsenal one. I mean, what a player he's going to be as well.
Yeah.
I was looking at Yarmolenko going, run with him, please.
Yeah, it's
anyway,
Yarmolenko's
but I mean, how do you see Arsenal trying to defend? Because they've got the back three.
Yeah.
They can't go 3v3, surely, can they?
No, they're going to have to draw one out. Or they have to protect. So they're going to have to have 4 at the back at least.
They might need 5.
Or 5, not with that Liverpool's forward line. So they might have to sacrifice going forward at free will like they tried to with West Ham. because they're going to get punished if they do play like they did against West Ham. They're going to get punished, and it might be high scoring. You never know. So he's going to have to change his tactics a lot against Liverpool.
And if you were Aubameyang, what would you be thinking?
He's going to... Look, Aubameyang will score goals.
He gets a chance, he scores.
Or he'll assist. Look at the goal that Lacazette scored. Lovely assist. Great, nice little through ball into him, and he got in the end of it, crossed it in for Lacazette to power in. I think with Aubameyang, he's going to be scoring a lot of goals this season. I think he might be one of the he'll be one of the great goal scorers of this season as well. I'm not sure whether he'll make the Golden Boot, but he's definitely going to be up there. So he plays a big part in this game, but he's going to want to be able to score against the bigger sides like Liverpool and these sort of teams, and pit his wits against someone like Van Dijk as well. But I'll say I like Matip. Is he injured for this game?
Yeah, he was injured last week, wasn't
he was injured.
Fabinho did a fantastic job.
Was, for me, apart from Mane scoring those goals, he was man of the match.
I agree.
So I really think he's going to have his work cut out for him against Liverpool's backline. Sorry.
So what do you think then? Your Betfred selection for this one?
Liverpool win, definitely Liverpool win. Arsenal they're just not there yet, and obviously what Liverpool done to Chelsea, I can't see nothing but a Liverpool win.
Mark?
I think Liverpool will win. I'm going to go draw half-time, Liverpool full-time, and just wonder if Arsenal might be able to sit in for the first half. And I think Liverpool bringing in Thiago, one of the big sort of boosts that's going to give for them is the fact that when teams do sit in, he's the one that can then dictate play. But I still think that Arsenal are good enough to hold out for 45 minutes, but not 90.
Okay, I'm going for both teams to score, but I do think Liverpool will end up winning in the end. Okay, fantasy football picks for this weekend. Each of us pick a player that we think will perform best on the opening weekend. Have you had a think?
Yes, I've said Van der Beek for Man United. I think obviously
He should start.
He should start this game, hopefully, and I want to see. I think he might make a massive difference and take a lot of pressure off. Obviously Pogba and Fernandes as well, and he looks like a goal scorer. That finish he done on the weekend was really, really top class. And I've had a few finishes like that as well, so I know exactly what he done there. There's only a few of us that can do it.
I love that. That was top class. I've done it. I love that.
Just joking, but no, Van der Beek, I've got my eyes on him. I want to see him elevate Man United to the next level, and hopefully he can. But I think Man United just have to work on their backline first. But at the same time, I think Van der Beek will get his chance, and hopefully he can make a difference this week. Okay,
are you going to be as on fire as you were last week with Dominic Calvert-Lewin?
Yeah, I mean, just a hat trick. I'm sticking with Everton players. I think that Everton could be really big improvers, and particularly when they're playing as well as what they are. You know, if things go wrong, then it might change. But James Rodriguez, I mean, he's on set pieces, he can score goals. I mean, we've spoken about, can he do it for the 38 matches? Not sure, but I think he can do it for the next 6 or 8. So in terms of like a transfer in for your fantasy team, I think he's definitely one to get on side.
He can open a can of beans with that left foot, can't he? He's absolutely fantastic. I'm going for Harry Kane. Yeah. I think there'll be goals for Spurs against Newcastle. Newcastle was so poor. Maybe that's the Newcastle we'll see for the season rather than what we saw against West Ham. I think there's somewhere in between, but I think Son and Harry Kane will have another field day, and this time Harry Kane will be saying, "You make me 4 goals.
You give me 4 now." All week he's been at it.
Exactly, he's been chipping away all week. There's no doubt. You know what strikers are like. Okay, final one. Let's go for the team treble then, shall we? Each of us picks a team that we think will win and why. Carlton, who have you gone for this weekend?
I've gone with Liverpool. The reason why I say that, because I think Thiago coming in now is going to be pulling the strings in midfield, opening up defences. I think Mane, Firmino and obviously Salah, they're at it at the moment, so he's just going to be feeding them on the plate, and I think he's going to be a key component into them going forward and making assists.
Arsenal fans won't be happy with that. But who have you gone for?
I've gone for Juventus away at Roma. I watched the Roma game at the weekend. Not good enough. They had Mkhitaryan up front playing as a false 9. That didn't work very well. Drew 0-0 against Verona. They actually then had the points taken away because they fielded an ineligible player. But Juventus made a good enough start under Andrea Pirlo, 3-0 victory for them against Sampdoria. Morata has signed. I'm not a huge fan of his, but he's definitely a position they needed.
He did
to
well
strengthen.
last time around,
He
didn't
did. He's got an Italian wife. I don't know if maybe there's sort of settling
Must
period.
be, yeah.
It can help him there. And Aaron Ramsey was probably Juventus' best player
Really?
last week. So one to keep an eye on. Maybe Pirlo's, got the answer to sort of make him a success at Juventus.
It's a shame Morata didn't have an English wife.
Yeah, they could have done more at Chelsea. You might have to change wives every country he goes to.
You said that. We can possibly comment. I've actually gone into the Championship, and it's always difficult to predict, but I've gone for Coventry to win at Barnsley. I think Coventry have done well in their first 2 games. Unlucky at Bristol City. A good win against QPR. Their front 3 look sharp. I think they'll have belief in themselves that they can compete at this level. Barnsley have lost their 2 league games, and I also think Coventry having a free midweek, whereas Barnsley haven't, can make a difference as well. So I think they'll be fresh for this one. So I've gone for a Coventry win. Carlton, that's it.
Yeah.
You enjoyed yourself?
That was nice and punchy.
Brilliant.
Loved it.
Great fun.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing you again soon, I'm sure. Mark, thank you very
Thanks.
much indeed. We're back next week. We'll look back at, see if Carlton and Mark are right in their predictions, and also look ahead to the selected games as well. Thanks to Betfred and, of course, from everyone here at the Racing Post. Please gamble responsibly.